want to see the Ashman film. Like, can we get the Ashman? Like, I would watch that.
Welcome to my nightmare of the prime times.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. In this video I will be reviewing the new horror movie Stopmotion, which is about a stop motion animator who struggles to control her demons after the loss of her overbearing mother. Now, I thought this was a pretty original idea, and it had some really good and interesting ideas that they were able to pull off in the movie. Unfortunately, in my humble opinion, the stop motion part was the most interesting part of the movie. The pacing is far too slow, the characters are far too dull, and I really struggled to get through this one. Now, on the stop motion side of things, our main character, Ella, before her mother dies, who also does this, she was never able to have her own ideas, and now she's struggling to try to put on her own stop motion movie and come up with her own idea. And the idea she comes up with that she gets from this little girl is a story about someone called the Ashman. And it has a story of this girl who's scared in the woods, and she goes to a cabin and she's visited for 3 days by the Ashman, and they end up using like actual dead flesh and a dead animal and stuff to make these stop motion puppets. And man, the stop motion movie within the movie, I would rather see that. Like, that was actually really genuinely creepy and a really good story, and it was fun. It was interesting to, I was going to say fun to watch, but it's like a scary story, so I guess we can't call it fun. But I feel like I'd rather watch that. And I wasn't a big fan of like the Mommy Dearest storyline that they give us with Ella and her mom. And the synopsis is a stop motion animator struggles to control her demons after the loss of her overbearing mother. Number one, okay, the mama a little overbearing, but really, honestly, I'm like, it ain't look that bad to me. Like, why you went crazy? And then the whole struggle to control her demons. What demons? Like, what's the issue? Like, why did she completely go off the deep end? But I'll get back into that. I want to say some positives. I mean, the acting was solid. Everyone did a good job. The movie looked good. They did well with the stop motion and the effects and all of that stuff right there. But this was one of those situations where the movie was a lot more interesting to just look at than it was to watch, if I said that in a way that makes sense. Like, what they did with the visuals and everything and the way the movie looks, all of that was good. It's just the actual story and dialogue that just doesn't work. Just really lackluster. I could care less about the lead. I could care less about her boyfriend. I could care less about his sister. Like, I really don't care. And it was very obvious from the very beginning that the little girl isn't real. I took it as the little girl was a manifestation of Ella's inner child, because her mother kind of, I want to say, stifled her creativity. She could never come up with any ideas on her own. And one thing that is such a dead giveaway, and I don't know why filmmakers aren't aware of this, like, as the audience, I always say, when there is a character who does not interact with anyone else outside of our main character, we know they're not real. Like, it's a dead giveaway when that character does not interact with anyone else. It's either like a figment of the main character's imagination, or it's someone that was dead that only they can see. And it was so blatant. I mean, it's blatant in general when movies do that. But it was so blatant the way they did it in this movie, because the day that Ella moves into this apartment, there's this little girl on the stairs that bothers with her. Then her boyfriend's sister comes over and she just walks past the little girl don't pay her no mind, don't say nothing to, and I'm just like, this don't make no sense. Like, come on now, child, we know this little girl ain't real. Like, that was so obvious. And I hate that it was that obvious. Now, along the lines, and when I said that the movie like looked good, like they did well executing those things, there's a scene in particular where Ella goes to a party and she asks her boyfriend's sister for some drugs. I actually thought that was a pretty good scene. They tell us in later though that she never actually took the drugs, so that makes the scene confusing for me. Like, why was it so trippy? Why was she being so weird, like acting like she was on drugs if she wasn't? Like, if I remember correctly, someone gets hurt and she like reaches out to like mess with their wound or something. But it was like a really trippy scene in this party, and I actually liked how they shot that and how it looked. The concept, the themes, the effects, all of that was really good. Like, I would watch another movie from this filmmaker. I just need better writing. And with Ella and her mom, when I was talking about like what demons, we needed more time to flesh her character out and the situation with her mom before the mom dies. Because for me personally, I feel like she starts to devolve, and it just kind of feels like things are happening with her with no real understanding, in my opinion. And I mean, I don't need everything spelled out for me, but like, give the audience enough so we can tie certain things in. Her mom dies and she just immediately loses it, and I just kind of feel like, how did she even get here? And the catalyst for it being the overbearing mom, it just wasn't enough. Like, I'm sorry, like, it's people that are that overbearing in real life that I know, and like, I'm not going off the deep end. I don't know, it just didn't feel dramatic enough for her to really just jump off the edge of a cliff. I also want to know, like, where did the little girl get the story? Like I said, I feel like they don't explain it, but I feel like the little girl is Ella's inner child, like, because her creativity and imagination, you know. But I thought the Ashman represented someone. I thought the story meant something. Like, where did the little girl get this story? Kind of like, I feel like an example is the Haunting of Hill House, when we have the little girl that was talking about the smiley face monster. So that's what I mean, where I'm like, I thought it meant something. Like, who is the Ashman? I thought that represented someone in Ella's real life from her childhood. And then things like, you know, the whole 3 days, like, what does that represent? I don't like things that don't mean anything or don't connect to something. We just need a stronger storytelling all around. I love the body horror. Like I said, when I was talking about the effects, that was all really effective. My thigh was hurting watching Ella. I will say also with the story, the boyfriend's sister stealing Ella's idea was kind of ridiculous for me. I felt like we could have been more creative in conjuring up some kind of conflict between them. It felt too easy when Ella took the boyfriend and his sister out. Like, it was maybe I get wanting a conflict to be conjured up between Ella and the sister, but I personally feel like it's a little contrived that they both just so happen to work in the same industry. I don't know. Like, how many stop motion and animation, like, people do you run across every day? I don't know. I just feel like that was a little, but honestly, that's not a big deal. That's kind of nitpicky. But I mean, with a movie like this, it's just so many things that didn't work for me. And I get setting up a workplace in the apartment maybe, but I didn't understand why after Ella's mother died, so she moved from a house that looked perfectly fine to me to go live in this like decrepit apartment. I don't like I get setting up a workspace, which I kind of don't get that, because you can set up a workspace somewhere in that house, but I get setting up a workspace in an apartment, but I don't understand why she completely moved in there. The boyfriend asked her to move in with him. And I get it, maybe your mother dying and it will be hard for you to stay in the house where your mother was, maybe. But why stay in this decrepit apartment? Why not go stay with the boyfriend? Now, in the end, Ella doesn't finish the stop motion film. And I feel like if we're going to kill if we're going to kill the boyfriend and his sister, and she used a dead animal to like make her little stop motion puppets, I feel like, and also, yeah, she ripped a piece of her flesh out to put in the work. I feel like, why didn't we use the bodies of the boyfriend and his sister to finish the stop motion film? I don't know. I feel like I wish that went somewhere or we did something with it. But I do like how it ends. If I remember correctly, I saw this a few weeks ago and I'm just talking about it. But if I remember correctly, it ends where Ella goes into like this box. I like the idea of that and what that represents. Of course, it's one of those things that's up for like audience interpretation. But for me, I like it. I like an ending how they did it with that. It was so dull. It was so hard to get through. I mean, when we see Ella go work at her boyfriend's sister's job, and we're watching her make these eyeballs and all of the interactions with her and her boyfriend. I'm so sorry, but it was so dull for me. Like I said, everyone was fine, like with the acting, but like the boyfriend and his sister, any conversation and interactions with them, I was checked out. Oh God, it was so dull. Like I was so bored just sitting through all of that, and yeah, it's not the acting, it's the writing. It's the writing. It just didn't really work out very well for me, and I feel like I don't have much to say about this movie. Like, it's just really, I was like scrolling Twitter. I was on my phone. I was doing all kind of random stuff because I wanted to see how the movie was going to end. So that's, a positive for the movie, because I will cut a movie off and I just won't care. But I actually did, well, for one, I wanted to see how the Ashman story was going to end, really. And I also wanted to see how the movie was going to end. And I mean, there's no real payoff to me. Like I said, I like the whole symbolism of her being in the box, but there was no real payoff in the end for me. And like, we didn't have to do that. Never mind. I was finna say I kind of would have wanted her like killing people to make her stop motion. Because I just feel like we go the whole movie and then all of a sudden at the very end she kills the boyfriend and the sister, and I'm just kind of feel like it comes out of nowhere. She wasn't killing anyone. But I get it. The boyfriend was kind of putting his foot down, wanted her to stop with the whole stop motion film and wanted her to get out of that apartment. And him and his sister were coming there to kick her out or get her out. So I get it, but I still kind of feel like it kind of comes out of nowhere for me. She spends the whole movie. Yeah, she's devolving, but she's not violent. She doesn't even kill the animal that she uses in the stop motion. She finds a dead animal. So she's literally not doing anything violent or killing anyone the whole time she's having this de-evolution. But that's just me. Overall, I mean, if I made a movie, I would hire this effects team. Like, oh my God, I love that whole aspect of the movie. It just didn't get me with the story. It just wasn't enough to really be entertaining enough watch. I would probably never watch this movie again. And like I said, I struggled to get through it just on this first watch. I would give Stop Motion a solid 4 out of 10, just slightly below average. And really what boosted, in my opinion, is the effects and the whole stop motion, that whole story side of it. I want to see the Ashman film. Like, can we get the Ashman? Like, I would watch that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for supporting the channel. Make sure you hit like on this video. And if you are not, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, how did you feel about Stop Motion? I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.